What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you're new here, welcome. I actually wore the Green Lantern shirt today, trying to make the videos just a little more themed, so let's see, maybe we're doing well. Today I want to talk about the upcoming release of Creature Commandos and how I think what they're doing is very cool, it's very interesting, and it's very innovative when it comes to animation, but I do think what they're doing could potentially harm the animation industry if it's not properly watched with care. And what they're doing is using the exact same actor for both live action and animation. James Gunn back in January of 2023 announced that any upcoming animated show that comes out of DC Studios will have the exact same live action actor and the exact same voice actor in animation and even in video games, which is very different from how animation is typically handled.
Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action.
So Frank Grillo will voice Rick Flag Sr. in Creature Commandos, but any live action appearances that the character may have in any DC Studios project going forward will also be played by Frank Grillo, which is all very cool. It's so cool that they're going to have this continuity going forward. But I do think it's a tad worrying that they're only going to be using celebrity actors as their voice cast going forward, and that is worrying for both voice acting as a profession and for animation. So I want to talk about the rise of celebrities being cast as voice actors, how Creature Commandos will accelerate this trend, and how it could hurt both voice acting and the animation industry. So let's dive in. Voice actors were not always played by celebrity A-list actors. They were in their own little world. Back when animation first started out, these actors were specifically trained for this, and most of them were relatively unknown. You didn't know who was voicing these characters in these animated shorts or these animated films. There were exceptions to this, right? Mel Blanc was probably the biggest well-known voice actor back in the day. He was the voice of Bugs Bunny, Daffy, Tweety. He had the whole Warner Brothers lot on like speed dial. He even appeared on Johnny Carson one time. That's how big of a deal he was. But he was just the exception. It's not like massive actors were going into animation. It's not like Elvis or Marlon Brando were being cast in the latest Looney Tunes movie. And it's not like these voice actors who were doing these jobs were really well known in the public eye. It's not like the voice of Mickey was being mobbed down in the street by people trying to get a selfie with him, right? Like, that didn't happen. Taking a selfie was actually pretty hard back in the day, right? Like, the cameras were really big. The world, as we all know, was black and white, so lighting was really weird in general. Uploading it to Instagram kind of took forever. We had dial-up back then, you know. Kids these days don't know about dial-up. It was all really hard back in the 50s. But then things slowly started to shift, where bigger actors were being used to voice TV and holiday specials in animation. Like we had Boris Karloff, who was a Universal monster legend, playing Frankenstein's monster and Imhotep in The Mummy, but then he lent his voice to the Grinch and the narrator in How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
6:30, dinner with me. I can't cancel that again.
Not that one, though I do love that one. This one.
Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here.
Or we had Fred Astaire, who lent his voice to Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Well, hello there. My name's Special Delivery Kluger.
Why don't we make any more stop-motion animated Christmas specials anymore? Like, I loved them. Looked weird, but I loved them. But that was about it. Actors typically stayed in live action in film and TV, and they were not typically used in voice acting in animation, until Disney completely changed the game. Jeffrey Katzenberg, the mastermind genius behind Quibi, didn't always have shitty ideas. He was the head of Disney at the time and decided to start pushing well-known actors into these voice roles, and most famously, that's how we got Robin Williams as Genie.
A doorstop would be a fabulous career.
Not bad! Good night, Alice!
There's a party here in Agrabah. There's excitement in the air.
But it didn't just stop there. It continued with other projects like The Lion King, which had a huge voice acting cast with Matthew Broderick, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Whoopi Goldberg, and James Earl Jones. And then it continued even more so once Jeffrey Katzenberg left to DreamWorks and brought that idea to DreamWorks, where we had Shrek, starring Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, and Cameron Diaz. And John Lithgow. He does not get the praise that he deserves. John Lithgow is great.
Perfect.
Studios realized that these actors can be used for marketing, and instead of casting trained voice actors, they opted to use these massive stars instead because it gave them more press, it gave them more buzz, but that unfortunately left trained voice actors in the dust. Which is why Chris Pratt is just fucking everywhere now. Like, goddamn, like, get that bag, you know, I'm not knocking him, get the money, but goddamn, I swear if he's the voice of Johnny Bravo whenever they make that into a movie, it's not announced, this movie's not been announced, but you know it's coming, right? And Chris Pratt as Johnny Bravo, I just kind of said that, but that's actually might be really good casting. Like I get why he wins. Like, fuck, he always wins. Trained voice actors never really took prominent big roles again after Disney started to cast celebrities in their films, but voice actors were still able to thrive in TV. There was still space for them in TV in big roles. But Creature Commandos sets to change that. In the past, when movies got an animated spin-off, or when animated movies had a spin-off TV series, they typically wouldn't use the same live-action actor and would instead cast a voice actor for that role. For instance, with Big Hero 6 for the TV series spin-off, they cast Carrie Payton as Wasabi instead of Damon Wayans Jr., or they cast Brooks Wheelan instead of TJ Miller, replacing their film counterparts for the TV show. Or even bigger projects like Marvel's What If. They did have some actors come back to reprise their roles, but a lot of their voices were recast to other voice actors, like Josh Keaton taking over the role of Steve Rogers instead of Chris Evans, or Mick Wingert taking over for Tony Stark instead of Robert Downey Jr. With Creature Commandos having the exact same actor in both live action and animation, they could accelerate this trend of casting A-list talent or well-known live action actors in TV animation, where voice actors used to thrive. If it works out and is successful, other studios could do the same. Say, Dune gets an animated spin-off. Instead of casting a trained voice actor to play the role of Paul, they would instead cast Timothée Chalamet. That was such a stupid fucking example, but I loved making it. Like, can you imagine if Denis decided to make an animated Dune series? That would be so fucking cool. Like, I should stop talking. These are all very cool ideas. It's not at all making a good case for my argument. And what James Gunn is doing with Creature Commandos, it's all really cool. I want to stress that this is not all bad. It's so cool, and it's cool that we're going to have this. But this can potentially hurt voice acting and animation. Voice acting is already a very difficult field to get into. Like, if you want to be a voice actor in today's day and age, good fucking luck. You have a lot going against you. I wish you the best, but whew, you have a lot going against you. But if this trend continues, there will be less jobs for voice actors, so the only jobs left will only go to voice actors that are already big and already prominent, so we might lose out on an entire new generation of voice actors. And even for already big voice actors, this is worrying as well, because there will be less jobs, and this profession may not be a viable career anymore. Voice acting in general has already been on the rocks, like not to mention A-list talent taking roles in animation and video games, but also with the rise of AI, there's a lot of concerns with voice acting as a career already. And this is already happening with major TV animated projects where they are getting big live action stars for their voice roles instead of voice actors with shows like Invincible. And this might be bad for animation as well, because A-list actors, they cost a lot, so there will be less animated shows being made overall. Voice actors are generally cheaper than big celebrity talent. I'm not dogging them, that is just a fact, but their low cost helped keep the cost of animation down, which was able to give us not only a lot of animated shows, but also high episode orders of 22 episodes per season, unlike Creature Commandos, which only has 7 episodes. With less animated shows, there will be less jobs to go around, and animation will become less of a viable career, where we may be losing an entire new generation of artists because there's just simply not enough work to go around. And another reason why I think this could be a bad thing is because it's not really good for us as the audience. Let's be real here, not every actor can voice act. They just can't. They are very similar skills, but they are still very different skills, and some actors just don't have what voice actors have. Some actors simply don't have it, or they think it's the same thing as acting, and then they get into that booth and then they just can't perform. Using your voice is just an entirely different skill.
We can't help what we are. That we feed on blood doesn't make us evil.
I think we all remember watching the remake of The Lion King and hearing Beyonce's riveting performance.
Seeing you again? You don't know what this will mean to everyone.
Or do you want James Corden and everything? Because that's what we're gonna get. Or Awkwafina. Like, I don't want to dog on Awkwafina too much, because for all we know, for all I know, the directors of the projects he's been a part of, the studio, the producers, they all wanted that exact same voice that we've heard for all of those roles that she's had. But it's the exact same voice. Every time. I know she can act. She was great in The Farewell, but every time she's cast in a voice acting role, it's the same exact voice.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. Not too bad, just a little dusty. Let me get that for you. Calm down, I'm on it. Time to turn this baby on beast mode.
We're going down a path where the voices that we hear are just going to be the celebrity's real voice, and they don't truly voice act. We're losing this entire field of voice acting if the industry continues down this path. We could be losing out on really great voice acting performances. Can you imagine a world where we didn't have Kevin Conroy as Batman? I know he was in TV before, but he was mainly a stage actor. He was mostly in the theater, and he was nowhere near a big A-list star before the Batman came out. And I just can't imagine Batman without Kevin Conroy. But he wouldn't have been cast, and he wouldn't have been able to do that role if they just opted to just use big A-list stars in all of their TV performances. Or Phil LaMarr as Green Lantern. Like, I cannot picture anyone else being Green Lantern except Phil LaMarr. I'm excited for Aaron Pierre. Like, I can't wait to see what he does, but he's got a lot going for him already, just going up against The Voice. These are just a few examples of truly iconic performances and great pieces of voice acting, but the potential to have great voice acting could slowly go away. I'm not saying every celebrity voice actor does a bad job either. Some are great at it. Some are phenomenal at it. There have been some truly phenomenal pieces of voice acting recently. Most recently, what I can think of is Transformers 1, where Brian Tyree Henry fucking brought everything he fucking had into Megatron. He fucking crushed that role. He did so amazing. I remember being in the theater, watching and listening and just being in fucking awe. He did amazing.
The age of crimes has ended. No more false prophets. Follow me and you will never again be deceived.
And this is all not bad. Creature Commandos is inherently not bad. I'm very excited to watch it. I'm very excited to see the continuity between animation and live action. I'm also very excited to see a DC cartoon again. That is 2D animation. I love 2D animation. I love that Harley Quinn and Kite Man have kept it going, but I love that we're seeing another 2D animated series come out of DC. It reminds me back in the day when Justice League was coming out, or Static Shock. Like, I love to see this. I just think we need to keep an eye on this whole voice acting thing and keep that in the back of our minds while we're enjoying these things. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think I'm a little, over worried about this? Do you think it won't be the norm going forward due to scheduling factors like cost, scheduling, and just overall demand in general? Or do you see this trend continuing where A-list actors are cast and voice acting slowly goes away? Let me know in the comments. And lastly, thank you so much for watching. Whether you subscribe or not, thank you for taking the time out of your day to hear me bitch about animation and just kind of overall worry about everything. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and if you don't subscribe and you enjoyed what I said, please like, comment, and subscribe. I put out new videos every week detailing the film and TV business and overall trends in film and TV, so if you subscribe, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.